Hey everyone, good evening. Blitzball Champ is back here yet again with a brand new video here on the U to the 2. So, wanted to wanted to have a little fun tonight. Came up with a topic that I really took some time to really just go deep in, and felt that I would share because I also kind of would love to hear y'all's feedback about this for yourselves. So, I got a question for y'all. This is for all the fighting game fans. So, over the years, over many years, so many fighting games have come out from all sorts of different eras, of all sorts of different consoles, different types of gameplay styles, but so many fighting games since day one to now have come out. I know that over the years, a lot of people are playing the new fighting games. A lot of people are playing, some of the older fighting games. And a lot of people even still play even older fighting games. My question is, if they were to never make another fighting game from this day forward, what fighting games could you play and have and never get tired of? And that's what this video is about. I wanted to go through some fighting games that I would never, ever get tired of up to the day that I die. Would never get tired of playing these fighting games. So, let's have a little bit of fun tonight. Anyway, let's get started. First, Blazblue. Um, just some memories I have of Blazblue. So I remember it was the Carolina Game Summit that I actually got a chance to play in a Blazblue tournament. It was a small tournament, not a lot of people, but I made some really good friends there. Um, but yeah, being that I was big into Guilty Gear ever since my days when I used to work at Red Storm. My good friend Sly Nature introduced me to Guilty Gear XX, and I know that as years passed, Blazblue came out. That was from the same folks with Axis Games, I believe. And immediately I was already interested, and I got Blazblue. The first one was Calamity Trigger, um, and I remember getting that. And there was a tournament, Carolina Game Summit, which I'm from North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, um, but I actually got a chance to play in a Blazblue tournament, and I actually ended up taking third place. I used I mainly used Iron Tager, but yeah, it was actually very fun. And I got a chance to play and also meet some new friends. Shout out to Kyle Phelps and Ryan Harris. Um, it was really good meeting them there, and they're really good players themselves. I remember Ryan would play as Bang Shishigami, and Kyle was a really good Hakumen. But yeah, so always had great memories playing Blazblue. Um, I actually got to meet and see Kotoko perform live at Animazement, who has done some of the music for Blazblue. So I thought that was really cool. Got to autograph a few of my copies of Blazblue. I know out of all the ones I've played, I would say I've played Continuum Shift the most. But of course, I have the current one, the most recent one, which is Central Fiction. I don't really count Cross Tag Battle because different kind of game, if you ask me. But Central Fiction, I still get down with. I definitely still get down with Central Fiction. Um, don't have a whole lot of people to play that with, but definitely Blazblue is a game that I'll always appreciate and will never get tired of, especially with the character design, with the soundtrack. Oh, love the soundtrack. Um, and I really like how they added more mixes to each of the characters' stage themes and just really expanded on that soundtrack. But and of course the adding of the extra characters. Blaze Blue's Central Fiction would be my current go-to, but if they never made another Blaze Blue game, I would be totally fine with that. Um, like I said, I still have my copy of Continuum Shift Extend because that was what was autographed by Kotoko. So, so yeah, Blaze Blue definitely is on the list. If I had to pick one specifically, it'd be Central Fiction. That's the most current one, but it's a game I would never get tired of for sure. Next up, I kind of lumped both of these together because I actually don't mind having both of these. Capcom versus SNK and Capcom versus SNK 2. I have a lot of fun memories playing both of these games. Played in a few tournaments, but Capcom versus SNK 2 didn't do very well, but still a very fun game to play. Um, I always enjoyed the first one for the replay value and how you can unlock stuff. How there were, points you could get and you can unlock character colors, you can unlock the EX version of each character. I really like stuff like that. So I really appreciated the first game for its replay value. Also had a good soundtrack, and the stages were really cool as well. And I know Capcom vs SNK 2 had more characters, more grooves to choose from, but I can always appreciate the first one still to this day. And that's why I really like both games. I can't really pick one over the other. I like them both evenly. I feel like they both have their specialties. Even though Capcom vs SNK 2 is the latest one, I feel like one still has that specialty of soundtrack, replay value, and just like overall look of the game as well. So, once again, good friend of mine, Sly Nature, played these games a lot, especially the first one. Oh, we played this a whole lot. Um, and it was really fun just messing around with the characters. I can't say that I really had any favorites. I mean, it was really just cool to mess around with everybody, but you know, Capcom vs SNK had a lot of fun moments with. Played a little bit of that at the Carolina Game Summit as well. That was a game that they had pretty consistently. Um, but yeah, Capcom vs SNK 1 and 2 would never ever get tired of those games. Those games were awesome. I really, for not being too big into a lot of crossovers, cross ups, Capcom vs SNK is one that I will definitely appreciate. the most out of a lot of these mashups. Next, Guilty Gear X2 Accent Core Plus, and I guess you could say plus R. But yes, this is pretty much the Guilty Gear game I would hold on to. Like, I understand they have Xrd. I know they're getting ready to come out with Guilty Gear Strive next year, but honestly, this is my core. This is my core go-to Guilty Gear game. Love the soundtrack. Character lineup was great. This is my go-to. I'm a big fan of Zappa. He's my main, and unfortunately, Zappa isn't in the new games. So that's a big part of why I really enjoy this game a lot out of the rest. But this was the game that got me hooked on Guilty Gear. This is what got me started. I used to bash the mess out of it because I thought it looked dumb, but once I played, all that went out the window. So, 2004, when I had my first job at Red Storm Entertainment as a QA tester, um, during lunch breaks, we had a whole bunch of different systems, and you know, my friend would have a copy of Guilty Gear X2. Because back at that moment we didn't have Accent Core yet, but that was the game that was the most recent game that we had. Anyway, that was what we played during lunch. Just there would be maybe like three or four of us, and it was just we play. Whoever wins stays. Whoever loses pass sticks, and we would do that for our lunch breaks each and every day. It was Guilty Gear. We did that for months and months, and it got me hooked, and it made me want to play and learn about characters and mess around with everyone. So really had some great memories. I played in one or two tournaments, which this was also how I met. Shout out to John Slayton. Um, yeah, he has a really deadly Slayer, and I hate playing his Slayer. But that's one person that I could think of that was really good at Guilty Gear. Purified Weird Soul. Um, I think I said his name correctly. Um, he is an excellent Guilty Gear player. I think one of the best I've ever seen like play in person. Like he is, oh man, he is phenomenal at Guilty Gear. Like yeah, I don't stand a chance against him. Never stood a chance against him. But yeah, Guilty Gear X2 Accent Core plus R. I mean, I know they added the boss characters in there, and did a lot of gameplay tweaks and stuff like that. But that's definitely my core Guilty Gear game. That's my core Guilty Gear game. And like I said, I have Xrd and Revelator. I do plan on getting Strive as well, but this is my go-to. This will always be my go-to. Next, Samurai Showdown 4. This is my favorite Samurai Showdown game out of the whole entire franchise. Um, I played the mess out of this game with my good friend Sly Nature. He had an imported copy of this. It was Samurai Showdown Collection. It was on the Sega Saturn, and it was 3 and 4. And he had it imported with the converter and everything. But yeah, played this a whole lot at his place. And then thankfully, as years passed, they did a Samurai Showdown anthology on PS2, and they did a collection just recently, and can finally play it, and not have to worry about importing. But 4 was the debut of the Kazama brothers. So Getsu Kazama and Kazuki Kazama. And those are the two main characters that I really fell in love with. Kazuki more so because, he was the fire guy, so Getsu was the water guy. But characters I really, really enjoyed playing. And just the overall look of the game and how they did with the bust and slash different styles for each character was really cool. And like I said, just the overall look of the game. I like how they had like the secret fatalities and um, just the gameplay was great. Gameplay was really great, and definitely enjoyed a lot of how far the Samurai Showdown series has come, and that was the cornerstone game for me. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the current Samurai Showdown game that they did a reboot of and everything like that. But Samurai Showdown 4 is a keeper for me. It's definitely a keeper for me. Um, just overall. All right, we're gonna go into some King of Fighters. Yeah, gonna go to some King of Fighters. So for King of Fighters, there's two in particular, two games in particular. King of Fighters 98 and King of Fighters 2003. Um, King of Fighters 98 uh was the second King of Fighters game I ever played. The first one I ever played was 95. Um, but 98 I really played a lot of with good friend Sly Nature. Um, I played it the most on Dreamcast, but as time passed, they ported it to Steam and to many other consoles. I think digital download. They ported it like so many different consoles. But I definitely like the lineup of characters for King of Fighters 98, and it was just I don't know what it was, but it was really easy to get into. It was really easy to get into. And I just really enjoyed it for what it was. I have to say that out of all of the King of Fighters, that game was like the easiest for me to get into. And then King of Fighters 2003 really caught my attention because it had Gato and Tizak from Garou Mark of the Wolves, and just the overall look of the game and just how they did with some of the characters was really cool. I really liked that version of Benimaru the most, and I really liked the soundtrack as well. But yeah, they just really did an excellent job, with that game, animation wise and story wise, soundtrack, gameplay. So these would be ultimately the two King of Fighters games that I would never get tired of. And I know that the most recent ones are pretty neat, very flashy, very cool. Still played to this day, but there's something about 98 and '03 that just really has a hold on my heart compared to all the rest. But yeah. Next up, this is probably, and this is close to Samurai Showdown 4 as one of my favorite 2D fighting games. Garou, Mark of the Wolves, also known as Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves. Um, I love this game, and the only thing that's a bummer is it's hard for me to find people to play with. But the times that I've really gotten to play this game were with my friend Sly Nature, and also whenever I was at Animazement or any sort of tournament or con, they would usually have this game, especially at the different cons that I've gone to in the gaming room for fighting games. They usually would have Garou Mark of the Wolves playing either on I think most of the time was on an arcade cabinet. So, and then there's a really, really cool spot in Greensboro, North Carolina called Lost Ark Games. Uh, they have a arcade in the back, and it's usually very popular with for fighting games, and they usually have Garou Mark of the Wolves going on a cabinet there. But yeah, this was such a fun game. Like the character roster was like perfect. I really love the character roster. Um, Big fan of Gato. Big fan of the Korean brothers. Like the roster was awesome. Freeman was cool. Kushnud Butt, aka Marco Rodriguez, were really good. Like, I mean, that roster was just awesome. That was an awesome, awesome roster. Um, but yeah, that's my only negative is just hard to find people to still play this game, in my area or just online. I mean, not that I've played that much of it online, but just hard sometimes to find consistent people to play with. But that's definitely a SNK game I will never ever get tired of. Garou Mark of the Wolves, so good, so good. Next, Mortal Kombat 9. I have said for the longest time after this game had been out for a good while, if they were to never ever make another Mortal Kombat game again, I would have been satisfied with 9. I really would. 9 was so much fun. I had a blast playing 9. Um, I had it on PS3. Because at the time, that had the bonus character of Kratos. But the main memories that I have are back when I used to work at Epic Games and we had um, weekly tournaments where we had a prop ECW championship belt that whoever would win would be the holder of the title. And I got a chance to hold that belt once. We had a whole bunch of different winners, but we would do weekly gathering tournaments with Mortal Kombat 9, and that lasted for maybe a month or two. It lasted a good while. We were pretty consistent, but yeah, it was just so much fun, and we had all sorts of people. Whether they were excellent at the game or beginner, it doesn't even matter. We had a lot of people that played, and it was fun. It was actually a lot of fun. All the characters were really cool to mess with. Like, I mean, I know I really liked Reptile and Ermac and Noob Saibot and Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung was one of my favorites. But really, I did not have a problem with any character in Mortal Kombat 9. The roster was excellent. I really had no complaints. And that's why I say so strongly if they would have never made another Mortal Kombat game, I would be satisfied with 9. I really would. I would have been satisfied with 9. So, yeah, that Mortal Kombat has a special place in my heart. Just everything about that game was just really a lot of fun. And just the way they did each of the characters was great. Yeah, that's my go-to Mortal Kombat game. Next up, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Um I really feel like it could be 10, 15, 20 years from now and people will still be playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It's that good. of a Street Fighter game. One of the best in the world, if you ask me. Just so much hype behind that game. Even up to now, looking back at the years of just the hypeness, Daigo versus Justin Wong, the big Perry comeback, like so much hypeness with this game. And just really watching competitive play of Third Strike is very entertaining. Um, I really got into the game quite a lot. So back long time ago, Crabtree Valley Mall in Raleigh, North Carolina, used to have an arcade called the Cyber Station, and it had a Street Fighter 3 Third Strike cabinet. And me and my friend Sly Nature, every now and then after work, we would go there and we would get in a bunch of rounds of Third Strike. Because if I remember correctly, it was only a quarter. It was only a quarter to play. Yeah, either a quarter or 50 cents. But it was, from what I remember, I think it was a quarter. And we would just play Third Strike for like an hour or two, or just whenever we didn't want to spend any more money. But yeah, great, great memories. And like I said, I was decent at Third Strike. I wouldn't say that I was excellent, but I really liked Yun and Yang, Ryu and Ken, Elena. Um, there was really a good amount of cool characters in that game. Um, and just like I said, the competitive play. I've played in maybe like one or two tournaments. Didn't get far, but it was still very fun. And it's really cool to watch competitive play and really connect with people, fellowship with people over Third Strike. Because that's still such a great game. To this day, still an excellent game. And I really feel that Third Strike is a game that won't ever die. Especially when it comes to Street Fighter, I believe that's a game that won't ever die. It is so good, so unique, and it's just been such a success, especially in tournament and competitive play. Next, Street Fighter Alpha 3. Oh man, another one of my favorite Street Fighter games. Um, Definitely one of the ones I've had the most fun with. I remember when Street Fighter Alpha 3 first came out and playing that with my friend Sly Nature. Oh man, we played that a bunch. And then whenever we weren't playing, I would be playing World Tour mode or practicing or trying to even, beat the arcade mode with each character. But oh man, that game had such a great roster and just story behind each character was just really really cool. Um, and there was always usually an arcade cabinet of that up for free play at Animazement and different cons. That was pretty popular, but never ever could find any tournaments for Alpha 3. I really, really would have loved an opportunity to play in an Alpha 3 tournament. Because oh man, that would have been so much fun. And it just, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer because it didn't turn out to be one of the games, or at least in my area, that really got a lot of love and attention when it came to tournaments. So it was kind of a bummer. It was really a bummer. But yeah. But definitely always enjoyed playing and would play with anybody. I mean, that's a game I never got tired of. The characters were really, really cool. And yeah, just awesome. Okay, one more Street Fighter game for you. And that would be Ultra Street Fighter 4. I would never get tired of that game. And, it took a couple of years, but the best version of that game is now out, and I love it. And it's another Street Fighter game that I like messing with, everybody. But I have to say, my main favorite characters to play with T Hawk, Ibuki, Fei Long, Guy. I mean, there's loads of them. Yun, Yang, there's loads of them. But I really liked what they did with Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 4. And, I've played in a good number of tournaments in that game and enjoyed myself. Um, Unfortunately, it's not really played as much because five is the main game that's being played, and five was all right at first, but just I mean, I'll play five if there's friends that want to play five. I'll play five, but honestly, if I had to pick between five and four, four all the way. Like it's not even close. But definitely Ultra Street Fighter 4. I love the character roster that they had, or I guess you could say the final roster that they had, since that wasn't the initial. But a lot of awesome characters, and yeah, it's another game I would keep playing to this day if I had friends that still played that game. But I definitely pick that over five easily, easily. And then finally, we'll finish off with what a lot of people know me well for, and that's Virtua Fighter. Specifically, VF4 to 5 Final Showdown. These games I would definitely never get tired of, and would even still play to this day. Um, but if I had to pick a favorite out of the group, it would be 4 Evo. VF4 Evo. That will have number one spot in my heart. When it comes to the other VF games, that's my roots. VF4 Evo, that's my roots. Um, it's interesting because originally in the first place I was more of a Tekken player, but then once I really got into VF4, I mean I played VF4, but it wasn't really in my heart until VF4 Evo was a thing, and then that pretty much sealed the deal for me. That absorbed me, and I was just like, I like Tekken, but VF4 Evo was going to get my undivided attention. So I have a lot of memories when it comes to VF. Um, First ever VF tournament played in, got second place, um, which was Carolina Game Summit. We had the Escapist Expo here, which I won. It was a VF5 Final Showdown tournament, which, I'll be honest, wasn't really any competition. That's just me being honest. It's not me being cocky. It's me being honest. Um, I mean, I wasn't even using my main, so yeah. Um, but yeah, that and of course, VF was how VF Arena became a thing, and no matter the cost. And like I said, I kept up quite a long time over the years when it came to VF. I remember the World Cyber Games used to have VF5 as one of the main event games, and they even had qualifiers. I remember World Cyber Games, The Ultimate Gamer. That's how I learned about Adam Yuki. And, Virtua Fighter was one of their spotlight games. And of course, Adam Yuki was the man when it came to that. Uh, Researching a lot of the names of those champion characters from Evo, like Boon Boon Maru and Kurita and Shibita, and Homestay Akira, like so many of them. Um, but yeah, learning about Chief Flash, meeting Blackstar. While technically I met Blackstar through playing Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, Blackstar is a well-known name in the VF community. Um, One of the best Sarah players I've ever played against. Um, yeah, but meeting Blackstar, um, participating in those qualifiers, the VF circuit. Chief Flash hosted No Matter the Cost, where I look at a lot of names that I've seen online, very popular names, and then getting a chance to meet them in person. You know, ended up traveling. Jason Elbow came to North Carolina and joined me as we went to uh, Virginia for No Matter the Cost. Meeting him, meeting so many others, Chief Flash, the NWO, um, like so many big names, Denkai, Adam Yuki, uh, Jacko. Like, I mean, I hear and see all these names online, and then to actually meet these people in person and put name to face is just, you know, very, very memorable. And, when it comes down to it, uh, oh, of course, I have to mention B Bounty Hunter because he's the one that did call me out. But I mean, all the memories that I've made through Virtua Fighter. I mean, I know it was mostly through VF5 Final Showdown because a lot of VF Arena was Final Showdown. And after meeting Blackstar and after what he was doing with Sunday Night Raw, that's really what kind of ushered me into streaming. So there was a lot behind that. But just, when it comes down to it, what's the fighting game that I, have played the most? I would have to say it's Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, with Final Showdown being a strong second. And, you know, rinse repeat. So I mean, when I really think about it, yeah, dang, I ain't gonna lie, I do kind of miss the community. I mean, after all, a lot of my views on Twitch are because of Virtua Fighter. A lot of great memories because of Virtua Fighter. A lot of awesome people because of Virtua Fighter and somebody setting up a big, big event. Hmm. Dang. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't miss it. But it is what it is. Anyway, that's all that I have. I know this video was really, really long, but I will list in the description each of these games. That way, they'll be in order as best as I can. But you'll at least see a list of the games that I point out in the description. But yeah. What do y'all think? What are some fighting games that y'all enjoyed that y'all would never ever get tired of? Ever. That you could always pick up and play and always enjoy. Let me know what your list is. Um, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And thank y'all so much for the support, for all that you do, and for taking your time to watch these videos, check out my channel. Thank y'all so much. Hope everybody has a blessed week, and I will see y'all soon. God bless.